Have you ever wondered about the engine that powers our entire world? You know, the economy? Well, today, we're going to break it all down. We're going to follow the incredible journey of a single, everyday product to really understand all the different jobs that make our world go round. So let's start with something simple. Milk. I mean, that carton of milk sitting in your fridge, it didn't just magically appear there, right? It's actually been on this amazing adventure, passing through so many different hands and involving all kinds of work. And that's the adventure we're going to map out today.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the basics, like what even is an occupation? Then we'll follow this chain, starting from nature, moving to the factory, then out to you, and we'll finish up by looking at the brainpower that ties it all together. So let's dive in.
Okay, first things first. Let's get on the same page and define our main term. What exactly are we talking about when we say occupation? You know, at its heart, it's actually really simple. An occupation is just any work a person does to meet their needs. It doesn't matter if you're a farmer growing food, a factory worker building a car, or a doctor helping people. It all fits under this one big idea of work.
So where does any economic journey really start? Well, it starts with the planet itself. And that brings us to our very first category, primary occupations. These are the jobs that work hand in hand with nature, gathering up all the raw materials. You can think of them as the absolute foundation of the entire economy. So going back to our milk example, this is the first, most obvious step, the dairy farmer who gets the milk from the cow.
And it's not just raising animals for milk. This category includes farming crops, catching fish from the sea, or even harvesting wood from a forest. Basically, if it comes straight from nature, it's a primary occupation. Simple as that. Okay, so we've got our raw milk. What's next? I mean, we don't usually drink it straight from the farm, do we? It has to be processed, and that's exactly where secondary occupations step in.
This is the making and manufacturing stage. People in these jobs take those raw materials that the primary workers gathered and turn them into the finished products that we actually buy and use. This is where a ton of value gets added. So, just picture it. Our raw milk shows up at a factory, and inside, secondary workers use all sorts of machines and processes to transform it into things like butter, cheese, yogurt, and even ghee. Each of these is a finished product, all ready for the next leg of its journey. All right, so we have all these finished products, but they're just sitting in a factory. How in the world do they get to us? Well, this is where the massive, and I mean absolutely essential, service sector, also known as tertiary occupations, takes over. Now, the key thing here is these jobs don't produce a physical thing. They provide a service. This covers everything from the truck driver who moves the cheese from the factory to the grocery store that puts it on the shelf and even the cashier who sells it to you. They're the connectors between the product and the people. But wait, in our modern world, there's actually another really important layer. It's a special part of that service sector that runs purely on information and expertise. So, welcome to the world of quaternary occupations. Yeah, these are what we call the knowledge-based jobs. We're talking about researchers, designers, software developers, the real brain power. On our milk journey, this might be the food scientist who's running quality checks to make sure the milk is safe. Or maybe it's the researcher who's busy developing new eco-friendly packaging for that very carton. And you know what? This four-step flow works for pretty much any product you can think of. Let's try sugar. First, a farmer grows and harvests the sugarcane. That's primary. Then it goes to a factory to get processed. Secondary. Next, it's transported and sold in stores. Tertiary. And finally, you might have scientists working on how to get better crop yields. And that's quaternary. See, it's a perfect chain. So let's just pull this all together for a second. This table sums it up perfectly. Primary jobs get the raw materials, like milking the cow. Secondary jobs make them into something new, like making cheese. Tertiary jobs provide the services to move and sell it all. And quaternary jobs use those special skills, like quality testing, to improve the whole process. Each step is different, but you can see how they're all totally connected. And that right there is the most important point. None of these sectors can exist on its own. They are all links in one single, powerful economic chain. I mean, really think about it. A cheese factory is completely useless without dairy farmers, right? And the farmers can't get their milk to that factory without truck drivers. And the whole operation is made safer and better by the work of scientists. Every single link in that chain depends on all the others. Now, here's where this gets super interesting.
The balance of these jobs can tell us a whole lot about a country's economy. You see, nations where most people work in primary jobs, like farming, tend to have very different economies from countries where most people work in the service and knowledge sectors, the tertiary and quaternary jobs.
And here's the big takeaway from all of this. For an economy to be really strong and healthy, all four sectors have to work together. The primary sector provides the foundation. The secondary sector adds the value. The tertiary sector creates the connection. And the quaternary sector, that drives the innovation. They're all essential gears, turning together in this big engine of progress.
So here's a little challenge for you. Next time you pick up your phone or pour a cup of coffee, or even just put on a t-shirt, pause for a second. Try to trace its journey. Who do you think pulled the raw materials from the earth? Who put it all together? Who got it to you? And who designed the technology that made it all possible in the first place? Once you start seeing that chain, you really start to understand the world. Thanks for joining me.